I never imagined that one day I would have to fight to protect my own mother, inside our own home. We have always been very close. After everything she went through in life, I saw her as a strong woman, but at the same time, fragile when it came to love. When she met the man who would become my stepfather, it felt like she had finally found someone who truly valued her. He was polite, helpful, attentive, at least in the beginning, and I wanted to believe that. I really did, because seeing my mother happy has always been one of the most important things to me. But over time, some things started to feel off. It wasn't anything obvious. It was in the details, small behaviors that, on their own, could easily go unnoticed. His phone always face down, work outings at strange hours, the way he would change the subject whenever someone asked something more personal, and most of all, his eyes, a look that no longer carried the same care as before. It was like he was always somewhere else, even when he was right there at home. At first, I tried to ignore it. I thought maybe it was all in my head, or even just resistance on my part. After all, accepting a stepfather is never easy, but that feeling wouldn't go away. In fact, it only grew stronger, and the more I paid attention, the more strange things I started to notice. He became more distant from my mother, less affectionate, less present, and she simply didn't see it, or maybe she didn't want to. That hurt me in a way I couldn't even explain. There was one day that changed everything. I was in the living room when his phone buzzed, and he had left it on the table by mistake. That wasn't something he usually did. When I glanced at it, I saw a notification, a name I had never seen before. But it wasn't just the name, it was the message itself. It wasn't something someone would send to a married man innocently. My heart started racing. I didn't open the conversation at that moment, but that was enough to light a warning inside me that would never go away. From that day on, I started paying attention for real. Not like someone being suspicious for no reason, but like someone who knew something was wrong. And that's when I made a silent decision. I needed to find out the truth, not out of curiosity, but because I knew that if something was happening, my mother deserved to know, even if it meant breaking everything, even if it meant destroying the image she had of him. I couldn't pretend I wasn't seeing it anymore. Finding out the truth was easier and more painful than I imagined. After that first sign, everything started to fall into place. I began to observe schedules, patterns, behaviors. Small details that once seemed irrelevant were now forming a clear picture. And then, one day, the opportunity appeared. He left in a hurry, leaving his phone charging in the bedroom. I stood there for a few seconds, staring at that device, knowing exactly what it could mean. My hands were shaking. My heart felt like it was about to jump out of my chest. But something inside me told me I had to do it. When I unlocked the screen, it felt like opening a door that could never be closed again. The messages were there. Constant conversations, intimacy, plans, photos. It wasn't recent. It wasn't a mistake. It was a relationship. And in that moment, everything I feared was confirmed. He was cheating on my mother. The impact was strong, but it didn't come with surprise. It came with certainty. I already knew. I just didn't have proof, and now I did. But along with the truth came an even bigger problem. How was I going to tell her? My mother wasn't an easy person to convince. She believed in him, she defended him, and I knew that if I came forward with everything all at once, I might end up being seen as the wrong one, as someone trying to destroy her relationship. So I decided to act strategically. I started showing small things, comments, questions, situations that would make her think. Nothing direct, nothing aggressive, just enough to plant doubt. But it wasn't easy. There were many moments when she reacted badly. She said I was exaggerating, that I didn't like him, that I was trying to create problems, and that hurt. It hurt because even though I was trying to protect her, I was being seen as the villain of the story. But I didn't give up. because now I knew, and when you know, you can't pretend anymore. I kept observing, gathering proof, waiting for the right moment, because I didn't just want to tell her. I wanted her to see, to understand, to have no room for denial. And that's when I started to plan, not out of revenge, but for the truth, because some things need to be shown, to finally be believed. The day came in a way that almost felt planned by fate. My mother had left early to take care of some things, and he was at home. I knew that on that day, he wouldn't be alone for long. I had already noticed the pattern. And that's when I did something I never thought I would do. I called my mother and asked her to come back home without telling anyone. I told her it was important, that she needed to see something. When she arrived, I felt the nervousness take over me. It wasn't just about what was about to happen. It was about what would come after, but there was no turning back. The house was too quiet, a strange silence, a familiar one. I looked at her and simply said, "Trust me." We walked together down the hallway. Each step felt heavier than the last. And then, we stopped in front of the door. I pushed it slowly, and there it was. The truth. My stepfather, with another woman, inside our home, inside the place my mother had cared for with so much love. The impact was immediate. My mother froze, her eyes empty, lost, trying to process what she was seeing. He tried to speak, tried to justify himself, but there were no words strong enough for that. And for the first time, I didn't have to convince her. The truth was right there, in front of her eyes. What came next was silence, a heavy silence, full of pain, but also full of clarity. My mother didn't scream. She didn't make a scene. She simply looked at him and told him he had to leave. Right then. No discussion, no second chances. And he left, without arguments, because there was nothing left to say. And in that moment, I felt something I had never felt before. It wasn't happiness, it was relief. Today, looking back, I know it wasn't easy. I know I risked losing my mother's trust. But I also know I did the right thing, because loving someone also means protecting them, even when it hurts. And that day, I didn't destroy a family. I saved my mother from living a lie. Because sometimes, the truth hurts, but living in a lie destroys so much more.